President Obama says on 60 Minutes that they underestimated ISIS. Cue wolf. Well, I was going to say the wolves. Again, it's a bad analogy because we like the good wolves at Wolfpack. the guys on Fox News, and somewhat rightfully so. And they've got an Obama administration spokesperson here, his Deputy National Security Advisor, Tony Blinken. By the way, the insiders have gotten so insidery that all their names are starting to blend together. There used to be Tony Blankley under Bush. Now there's Tony Blinken under Obama. It's getting comical. Anyway, Tony Blinken is on there, and Chris Wallace is going to grill him. Well, look, I thought the president said he had this thing figured out. Apparently he didn't, isn't it? Let's watch.
With American combat troops having completed their withdrawal from Iraq on December 18, 2011, the Iraq authorization for the use of military force is no longer used for any U.S. government activities, and the administration fully supports its repeal. How can you go to war based on an authorization that you say is no longer the basis for any U.S. government activities, and this authorization, you wanted it repealed?
I got to be honest with you. That's a good question. Okay, let's see what Tony Blankley / Blinken does with it.
Chris, there are two authorizations in question. The first one is the 2001 authorization to use force. That was the one that was voted by Congress in the wake of the 9/11 attacks. And it said this: we can use all necessary means to go after those.
This week you also said the Iraq authorization.
Let me just finish. Two things. You're right, but there are two things. One, 2001 authorization to use force. It said we can go after anyone who was associated with the forces that attacked us on 9/11.
So that's, sir, I'm asking you about the 2002 Iraq authorization. Is it the basis or is it not the basis?
It is a basis with 2001, but the 2002 authorization was focused on Saddam Hussein. But it also said that if there are terrorist forces in Iraq that the Iraqi government is unable or unwilling to deal with, that gives us authorization to act as well.
It's kind of embarrassing that 2 months ago you wanted to repeal it?
We still would like to repeal it. We think what would be very helpful is if, one, Congress worked to give us a targeted, focused authorization. But while we'd welcome that, we don't need it.
Oh, man. Oh. I'm not the only one that sees a train wreck there, am I? Okay. Now, while we are using it as authorization, we don't need to use it as authorization. While we'd like to get new authorization, we also don't need that either. And we'd like to repeal it, but keep it. Come again, Blitzen? Okay. So, okay, this is a goddamn mess, man. Look, President Obama, before he became president, said he was not against all wars, he was just against dumb wars. That was a reference to Iraq. And he talked endlessly about how you need to get congressional authorization before you declare a war like this. And what did he do? He got us into a new war in Iraq, and he did not get congressional authorization, and that's why you have all this gobbledygook on television now from Donner and Blitzen and whoever else is on there going, and this mess continues.
Last year, in which he said that we are ending a decade of war. Take a look at this.
Today, all of our troops have left Iraq. Next year, an international coalition will end its war in Afghanistan, having achieved its mission of dismantling the core of al-Qaeda that attacked us on 9/11.
How could the president have been so wrong?
The president was exactly right. What we're doing is totally different than the last decade. We're not sending hundreds of thousands of American troops back into Iraq or Afghanistan or anywhere else. We're not going to be sending trillions of American dollars. And what we're not going to do is fall into the al-Qaeda trap of sending hundreds of thousands of Americans back. That's exactly what they want. They want to bog us down, tie us down, and bleed us. We're going to be smarter about this.
Okay, now here's what they want. They want us to engage in a war in Iraq and Syria. Aren't you doing... Okay, fine, we're engaging in a war in Iraq and Syria. But there are technically no boots on the ground. I mean, yes, there are. I mean, there are Iraqi boots and Syrian boots. Now, the Syrian boots are opposed to us, but still they're boots. But they're not our boots. Now, we do have guys on the ground, but they're not wearing boots. You see the distinction? No, dude, you lost me a long time ago. Much more importantly, you lost the American people a long time ago. So this is a goddamn mess. And by the way, he says, oh, we're withdrawing from Afghanistan. No, we're not. We just announced a new deal where we're keeping 10,000 troops in Afghanistan, new guys in Iraq and Syria, new wars for everybody. Change, you can believe it. Now, did we say change? Because we really meant continuity.